Kevin Love has been phenomenal, but he has an expiring $29 million contract. Would you trade him?
Believe it or not, no. I would not trade him. We've talked many times over the years, all the different times and places and ways that I would trade Kevin Love and why and for who. But where we're at right now as a team and what he brings off the bench, just the intangibles as a veteran and what I know the players, the younger guys talk about, what he gives them on the court or even off the court, how they can be stepping off the court and he's right there saying, no, you got to look for this and you got to be here and you don't let him bully you and this way, and just all of those mentorship type moments that you're not going to get from anybody else. And I know it seems like $29 million is a lot to pay for to get that type of service, but it's a result of his long contract being met out. It's not that you chose to start the year paying him that, it's just what you have to pay him. I say keep him and let his contract run out and then renegotiate for something more favorable to have him end his career here is what I would try to do at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. There are old episodes of us discussing whether or not they should trade Love, when they should, and how, and can we get him off our team as soon as possible, just because he was not in a good place early on in this contract, this 5-year contract that he has. And this being the last year, yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because it is a lot of money that you could free up to help, grease the wheels for another quote-unquote big-name player. But you just hit the nail on the head. The intangibles there, everything that he's doing to make sure that these players are all brought along as one, you can tell that Love is 100% comfortable in his own skin and as a leader and what he's doing on this team to make them successful. And really, I would have had different thoughts if it wasn't for that Pistons game. It showed me something that Love, he is further along in understanding what the rest of these players can do than you and I ever will be. But he showed that off against a team that is a solid team. The Pistons aren't a bad team. They are going through processes, but they have a lot of talent on that roster. And he was just phenomenal. He knew what to do. He wasn't getting flustered a lot, which is probably his Achilles heel. And if he can stay healthy, I agree. Let this contract ride out and sign him to a much more favorable deal so he can retire a Cavalier.
In the past, when we talked about trading him, it was more that we needed that $29 million to do something with. Mm-hmm. And now we don't. What do we need? And maybe as we get closer to the trade deadline due to injury or other factors, we might have another tune to sing. But right now, where we're at and how we're playing and what he provides to this team as is, there's no reason to let him go. And if you can keep him and then re-sign him, as I said, into the next season for something cheaper so he can end his career here, great. It's a feel-good story for the fan base, and it's something that I think Kevin actually wants. I think he's very proud to be a Cavalier, and I don't get the sense that he would like to play for a third team before his number is retired. How about you? Do you think that he would prefer to go somewhere else, or do you think he'd like to retire a Cav?
No, I think at this point he would like to retire a Cavalier. The only way I would see him get traded is, knock on wood, that it's not a similar situation that we saw with Rubio last year, where they're using the roster, the salary piece to bring in a player, and all reports were Rubio got traded to the Pacers, and essentially every reporter in the NBA was like, yeah, except he's not going to ever play for them. And I think a similar thing would happen with Kevin, because they didn't turn their backs on him with all of the injury issues that he's had, all of the on-the-court issues he's had, the frustrations. And it's not like he was a bad guy. It's just he clearly got upset and didn't handle things well. And he has shown that if you own up to that stuff, you try to improve your own awareness of how to react. We saw it in the Lakers game. There were a couple plays where he got called for some fouls that were non-existent, and he was trying not to get frustrated because I think he really wanted to beat LeBron. And he knew that he needed to stay in the game, and he knew that he needed to keep a level head. And I think if you get 3 more years out of him like that, that would be phenomenal for this team.
Thank you for listening to the Cavaliers Basketball Club podcast. Let's go Cavs!